Decision making. People either love or hate this section. It is one of the hardest sections of the UCAT, and on average it scores the second lowest right after verbal reasoning. But hopefully with some of the tips that I will be giving you in this video, you will be on your way to scoring high in this section. Also, a big thank you to Medicut who are kindly sponsoring this video, and make sure you stay tuned to the end to hear about a giveaway that will help you with your preparation for the UCAT. So what does this section of the UCAT involve? For decision making, you have 29 questions that you need to complete in 31 minutes, giving you just above a minute for each question. The questions in this section can vary a lot, from things like Venn diagrams to shape equations to drawing conclusions, but overall this section is testing your analytical and critical thinking skills. The first tip I have is to make sure you know how marks are allocated. For example, in the question where you're given 5 options and you have to put yes or no for each of those questions are worth 2 marks. In order to score 2 marks on those questions, you need to get all 5 correct. If you get 4 correct, you will score 1 mark, and if you get 3 or less correct, then you score no marks. For the multiple choice questions, they are worth 1 mark as you would expect, so knowing where the marks are allocated can really help decide how you spend your time, because you know if a question is worth 2 marks, you might want to spend a little more time on that compared to a 1 mark question. My second tip is for questions which involve shape equations. I remember when I first approached these questions, I was trying to take a very mathematical approach. So I would substitute each shape for like a value like X, Y, or Z, and then try and solve it like that. While this will work, it's a very slow way of doing it, and in a UCAT exam it's always very time pressured. So a faster approach that I would recommend is looking for where you can substitute whole parts of the equation. So on the left hand side there might be a chunk that you can substitute into that. So by substituting larger chunks into the equations, you can normally find the answer a bit quicker. So hopefully this technique can help you solve those shape equation questions a bit quicker. Tip number 3 is know where your weaknesses and strengths lie. For me, I always found those 5 mark questions with yes or no answers. Those questions were very time pressured, and considering you only have 1 minute to do that, I always felt that those questions took up a lot of my time. So what I decided to do was, since I knew those questions were my weak point, I would, as soon as I started the exam, skip through all those questions which I knew were weak, take a note of how many questions I was skipping, and then try and leave an adequate amount of time at the end to go through them. And that way I was able to prioritize the questions which I knew I would be able to answer quickly, and then not waste time on questions which I knew I would struggle with anyway. I feel like by doing this you really prioritize your marks, because some of those questions can actually be really tricky and you might need to interpret a graph and then answer all the 5 questions, and overall that just takes quite a long time, especially with the time pressure of a minute. I just felt to leave those to the end would be the best thing to do. I thought it was better to sacrifice not answering one of those yes/no questions in order to guarantee that I got marks in the places where I had my strengths and I was more likely to get the marks. Tip number 4 is really important for the questions which are kind of logical puzzles, and that is make sure you always draw a diagram or a table or some kind of writing on your whiteboard. When I was given a chunk of text with lots of different information, it's really hard to process that and kind of analyze that. So just by drawing like a rough diagram, you at least get a good general idea and you can visualize what's going on and sort of think of it quite easily. This technique really helped me answer the questions a lot quicker than I would have otherwise. That being said, don't spend a lot of time trying to make your table super neat and writing everything in full. Just abbreviate everything, don't bother drawing lines, make it rough so that you can at least understand it, but you don't need to waste time making this a super neat diagram. Tip number 5 is for those questions where it asks if the conclusion follows. Now what this means by this is, does the statement they're asking you about hold true? In order to think about this, consider the following points which really helped me to decide whether the conclusion does follow. First of all, pay attention to keywords they're asking you in the statement. For example, all, some, sometimes, things like these are good indicators about what the answer might be. Do not use any outside knowledge, because you cannot assume anything unless it's stated in the question, so for all you know, you shouldn't be using any outside knowledge. Do not make any assumptions. For the conclusion to follow, it must be true without having to make an assumption to get there. Tip number 6 is, do not forget that you have access to a calculator. And normally a lot of the time people forget there's a calculator and just use that for quantitative reasoning, but the calculator is also really useful for decision making. For those Venn diagram questions where it's asking you what is a total for this number of groups, just use your calculator to quickly put it in and quickly find out the answer. I would recommend that you practice using with a separate keypad, as you'll find that using that instead of using a longer style keyboard, using a separate keypad can really help you improve your speed, especially if speed is something you struggle with. Try out using a separate number pad. And finally, for tip number 7, don't worry if you find this section hard, because as I said earlier, it is one of the hardest sections in the UCAT and people tend to score lower on this section. That being said, this is the section where I believe that if you do practice it a lot, you will see improvement fairly quickly, and that's because The question styles, while they vary a lot in this section, they generally stay pretty similar, and if you're using something like Medify, I found that the standard that the Medify questions were asking were extremely similar to what I faced in my exam. So if you just keep doing practice and practice and practice, eventually you'll find that you narrow down the techniques that you like, you know exactly how to do it, and you'll find that you will be able to just breeze through this section in your actual exam. Also make sure you're doing time practice because it's very different doing it untimed versus timed. Just like with every other section, try not to worry if you find it difficult at first, but practice is the key thing to help improve that. But guys, that's about all the advice I have. Now, I'm very excited to announce this giveaway that I am doing with Medica, so stay tuned to hear about all the details for that. I am so excited to announce that I will be giving away this Master the UCAT book, kindly sent to me by Medica. This book is an Amazon bestseller and is made by people who have scored in the top 1% in the UCAT. It contains all the key strategies you need to be able to score highly in every single section of the UCAT. All you have to do to win this book is subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below, and you are automatically entered into this giveaway. There is no limit on the number of comments you can leave, and the winner will be randomly selected on July the 1st, 2021. This is a UK only giveaway, so give it your best shot if you're from the UK, and hopefully one of you will be winning this Master the UCAT book so that you can score very high in the UCAT as well. Medica also offer an amazing UCAT masterclass course, which contains over 9 hours of teaching jam-packed into just one day. You go through every section in thorough detail, and you're taught the key strategies and techniques that you need to score high. You also get given practice questions and mini mocks along the way. And throughout the day, you will be taught by UCAT experts who can tell you exactly the strategies you need to be using to score very highly in the UCAT. The course also includes a copy of the Master the UCAT ebook worth $14.99. Normally this course would cost you £99, but very kindly Medica is offering you guys a 10% discount if you use code SHAAN10 at checkout, meaning that instead of costing you £99, it will now cost you £89.10. That's code SHAAN10 at checkout. In my opinion, this is definitely a worthwhile investment if you want to maximise your chance of scoring high in the UCAT and hopefully getting into your dream university. Use the link in the description as well as code SHAAN10 at checkout to book yourself onto Medica's amazing UCAT online masterclass. Medica also offer one-to-one UCAT tutoring, BMAT and interview masterclasses, which also may help you further down the line in your medical application. Thank you so much for getting to this point in the video. I hope you were able to learn something new that will hopefully help you push your scores even higher in the UCAT, and best of luck. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel because throughout June I will be posting more UCAT videos going through every single section to hopefully help you guys at home score as well as you can in the UCAT. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!